Can this Atlanta Braves offense be stopped, and who stepped up down on the farm this week? We'll cover all of that on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on Twitter at ShortstopBall. Also, make sure you check out my written work over at BravesToday.com. Make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you're new. And if you're watching there, do me a big favor, hit that thumbs up button to help support the show. Thanks so much to all my everydayers out there. If you're an everydayer, let me know down in the comments section below on YouTube or hit me up on Twitter. Want to give a shout out to some of my everydayers from the last episode. Andy Lane, who says listens every day on the way to work. Love to hear that. Zachary Davis, been listening every day for over a year. That's awesome, Zachary. Rich Gunderlock, Cards Are My Hustle. Chris Conley, everydayer in Missouri. Marty Newell, Carter Smith, Sir Marshall, Mark A., and I Play for Keeps. Let me know that they are everydayers on our last episode. So thank you so much for being part of the everyday gang here on Locked On Braves. This episode is brought to you by Ibotta. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Right now, Ibotta is offering listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by downloading the free Ibotta app and using code MLB. On today's episode, we'll be covering the sweep of the Miami Marlins from over the weekend and just what an offensive onslaught it was. We'll talk about that and also get you up to date on everything happening down at the minor league level on this Minors Monday episode, and then set you up for the Cleveland series. Braves head back to Ohio, this time to face the Guardians, who are currently tied with the Twins atop the AL Central. We'll cover all that later in the episode. But let's start with this weekend series at home against the Miami Marlins. The Braves finish off a 6-game homestand, a perfect homestand, going 6-0. And let's go back to Friday night. You're coming into this series against the Marlins, who had been red hot in June and really going back into part of May, one of the hottest teams in all of baseball. They came into this series with a lot of confidence, thinking that they were ready to show the Braves that they are for real in this division. Braves have been playing their best baseball all year as well. And I don't want to take anything away from the Marlins. I said coming in, I've said for a while now, I think they're a good team. I said Skip Schumacher's my manager of the year at the halfway mark because he has that team believing. But I still think you look at the difference between the Braves and the Marlins when both are playing their best baseball. Maybe the Marlins didn't give the Braves quite their best shot this weekend, although they did throw Yuri Perez and Sandy Alcantara in this series. But you can clearly see there's a gap still there, and it has a lot to do with the offensive side of things, where the Braves really just overmatched the Marlins in this series. And what a statement it was, not just to the Marlins, but to the rest of the NL East as well. Again, even with the Braves already, having a sizable lead going into the series, Marlins really had to sweep to make any significant ground. Not only did they not do that, they couldn't even pick up a game. So now the Braves moved to 9 games up on the Marlins, who were the closest team to the Braves in the NL East. The Braves by far have the biggest division lead in all of baseball. The Rays are the next closest with a 5.5 game lead in the AL East over the Baltimore Orioles, which is by far the best division in all of baseball. But the Braves have a 9-game lead, getting close to the All-Star break, over the Miami Marlins. So it has been absolute dominance for the Braves so far, and especially this past weekend, they outscored the Marlins 29-7 on the weekend. They're now 8-1 against the Marlins this season. They've lost 4 games since the start of June. They lost 4 games since the start of June. We're now in July. The Braves haven't done a lot of losing lately. They're now on another 8-game win streak, as they were just a couple of weekends ago going into that Cincinnati series. And apparently the Braves are playing so well that people are starting to come up with conspiracy theories for how they are cheating, which is just ludicrous at this point, especially with PitchCom and everything out there. The Braves are just good, and they're hot right now. And look, I gave a shout out to Peter Pratt over there at Locked On Marlins. Does a great job over there. Really funny on Twitter. Don't take him too seriously on there. Trying to play with the Braves fans this weekend on Twitter. But, this Marlins team, they're really good. They're going to be really good this year. But it's just crazy how good this Braves team is right now. And the point I was making with Peter Pratt, he said, they don't hand out trophies in July. And he's absolutely right. They don't. But if they did, this Braves team, to me, the way they're playing right now, they're by far, I shouldn't say by far, but they are pretty easily the best team in all of baseball. Now, will they be playing this way come September, October, into the postseason? I don't know. It's a long way to get there. But right now, we're seeing the best version of the Braves. And that best version of the Braves, I think, is better than any team in baseball. We all know when it comes to the postseason, it comes to October, it's how are you playing then? Who's playing the best? Who's healthiest? This Braves team at full strength, like it is right now, even without, Max Fried and Kyle Wright, certainly when those two come back, I still think it's the best team in all of baseball. They might not win the championship at the end, but when this team is playing like they are now, they're the best team in baseball. And right now, they are best record in baseball. They're playing out of their minds right now. A lot of that has to do with this lineup. We've been talking about it a lot lately, just top to bottom. Everybody is dangerous in this lineup. You have no easy outs in this lineup. Batting 8 for you is an all-star starting shortstop in Orlando Arcia, who had a home run to get the Braves offense started on Sunday. Batting 9th for you is the reigning NL Rookie of the Year who has gotten going. This is just an absurd lineup top to bottom, and we talked about it from the beginning, and even this team has had slumps. And look, when the home runs aren't coming, it's going to be hard for them to score. But there's just not many nights right now when the offense isn't hitting home runs. 3 more of them on Sunday. And you look at what they did in this series and what they do in a lot of games. They punch you in the mouth right from the beginning, and they put you back on their heels. And sometimes they put the game away right away. They scored 6 runs in the first inning on Saturday's game, and that was it. And yeah, you would have loved for them to add on, but most games when you score 6 runs, especially with the Braves pitching staff is at full strength, that's going to be a win. I don't care if you just do it in the first inning or if you score 2 in the first, 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th, however you want to do it. Scoring 6 runs in a game is going to win you a lot of ball games. And they scored 6 runs right out of the gate. That game was over from the beginning. Pretty much the same thing on Friday night. 5 runs in the first inning. This Braves offense, how deadly they are in the first innings. It's got to be demoralizing for the opposing team to just be playing from behind right from the rip with the way that this Braves offense just comes at you and attacks you. 11 home runs and 10 doubles. That's 21 home runs and doubles this weekend. I know Matt Olson had a triple in there as well, but 11 home runs and 10 doubles on the weekend in a 3-game series against the Miami Marlins, who have a really good pitching staff. Yeah, they had to throw Brian Hoeing in game 1, Sandy Alcantara not having his best year. Yuri Perez was incredible coming into this series. The Braves he didn't even get out of the first inning against the Braves. Again, one more time, 11 home runs and 10 doubles. There just aren't many teams who are going to play a 3-game series and have double-digit home runs and double-digit doubles. That's just insane. It's incredible. I'm running out of adjectives. Everybody contributing at some level as well is what I love. But got to point out Matt Olson, multiple hits in 4 straight games now, obviously including all 3 games over the weekend. 7 of his 10 hits in those 4 games are for extra base hits. We talk about the average for Matt Olson, which it's gone up 25 points in the last 16 games, getting more in the 250 range. I would love to see it settle around 260, but even so, I would rather see him just get the doubles and the homers than add in those extra singles. And yeah, I'd love to see it, but if it takes away from all the extra base potential that he has, I'd rather just see him get the doubles and the homers, obviously, is kind of your nod dust statement of the podcast. But I'm fine if he wants to hit 240, 250, 260, if he's going to get 80 extra base hits on the year, which is what he's tracking for once again. But I'd love to see that average settle around 260. I mean, if he slashes 260, 350, 575 with 50 plus home runs and 130 plus RBI, which is what he's pacing right now, that's MVP level type of stuff. So, I mean, he's having obviously a really good year. I know there's been some ups and downs in there. He's really hot right now, and it's great. And he's been thriving since getting moved down to the middle of the order. Probably won't win the MVP this year because if Ronald Acuna Jr. keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to run away with the award. 5 hits and 2 doubles on the weekend, 2 home runs, 3 stolen bases, 5 runs scored. I mean, just another ho-hum series for Ronald Acuna Jr. I just wanted to point this out. Really has nothing to do with this series, but it's just one of my favorite things about Acuna this year is the fact of how he's cut down 10% on his strikeout rate. He struck out multiple times in a game, 6 times this year. He's played in every game. He struck out multiple times, 6 times, only 6 times this year. And he hasn't done so since June 16th. I just still think it's so incredible how he's cut down on that strikeout rate. He's just 1 stolen base away from being the first player ever to have 20 home runs, 50 RBI, and 40 stolen bases before the All-Star break. It's a historic season. And I just hope upon hope that he can stay healthy for the rest of the season, because I think it's going to be a year and the likes of which we've never seen before. And I haven't even gotten to the starting pitching yet, which was really good this weekend. Soroka, 6 innings, 5 hits, no walks, 3 earned, 7 strikeouts, gave up a couple of home runs there in that 3rd inning. Charlie Morton, 5 2/3, 4 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. And then Spencer Strider on Sunday, 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, 9 strikeouts. Those 3 combined to go 18 1/3 innings, allowed just 15 hits, only 2 walks, which I loved, 5 earned runs, and 21 strikeouts on the weekend. So great job by all of those starters. Gave them some length, which was great, and didn't give the Marlins much hope. You got those early leads, especially in the first 2. And for Soroka and Morton, just went out there, kept putting up zeros and didn't allow them to come back in the game. For Strider, just went out there long enough, gave up those couple of runs early, but then started putting up zeros, let that offense go to work and come back in that one. And I honestly thought all 3 could have been better. I think Soroka still has to work on that sinker command. He's still leaving it up and in the middle of the plate too much, and that changeup is kind of all over the place for them. I thought the four seam and slider were really good for him, but the sinker and changeup still need some work. And then for Strider, fell behind too many hitters. Too often he was going 2-0 and at bats, but that fastball was just so electric on Sunday, throwing 99 late in the game. Those Marlins hitters just couldn't really touch it. He gave up a couple of weak hits in that inning where he gave up a couple of runs, but otherwise was, his dominant self. So good to see Strider back. And then bullpen, I wanted to, weren't really many high leverage situations this weekend, but it was a close game on Sunday. And I thought it was really interesting that Snitker went with Heller late in the game to back up AJ Minter to get out of a jam in the 8th inning. Heller's starting to get a bigger role in the Braves bullpen. I mean, you could have gone to Yates, who only threw a 1/3 of an inning the day before. Anderson and Jimenez both threw an inning before, but so did Heller. And Snitker decided to go with Heller in that 8th inning. So I thought that was really interesting there. We'll see if he continues to get more high leverage work. But what a weekend it was for the Atlanta Braves, a sweep of the Miami Marlins, the closest team to them in the NL East. They are now 9 games back. All right, next we'll turn it to our Minors Monday segment where Owen Murphy continues to shine after his little rough patch. He had another good start this past week. We'll talk about that next. It's officially summer and a new season. It means new clothes, but your closet shouldn't be the only thing growing when you make those purchases. Now you can also watch your cash back grow with each purchase with Ibotta. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt after you shop and get your cash back. It's that easy. The average Ibotta user earns $120 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip or you could use your cash back to buy that flight you've been eyeing, that game you're dying to go to, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. You can earn cash back on hundreds of online brands and retailers too when you start with Ibotta, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code MLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use code MLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code MLB. Braves start a 3-game series in Cleveland on Monday night, starting at 7:10 p.m. Eastern. We'll see if the Braves can keep their win streak going. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. Hope you all are gearing up for a great 4th of July week. We'll have a normal schedule here, although I will go ahead and let you know, planning to have a baby at some point this week, so probably going to be without me for a couple of days or maybe several days here coming up, but until that happens, planning to have a regular week here on the podcast. All right, let's jump into our Minors Monday segment and start with our top prospects. It's a rough week for a lot of pitchers in the Braves system this week. That included A.J. Smith-Shawver, who had probably his worst outing. I'm pretty sure it's his worst outing as a professional. 3 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 4 walks, 7 runs, 6 of them earned, 2 home runs allowed, and 3 strikeouts. Also was not a great week for Jared Schuster. So, getting back acclimated maybe at the minor league level wasn't quite an easy transition for both of those guys. They both had a rough start. Somebody who did not have a rough start is Owen Murphy. He had a rough go of things there at the beginning of June, but his last 2 starts now, he's really turned things back on. This past week, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk. I did hit a batter, but no earned runs and 6 strikeouts. So he's starting to turn things around. Braden Shoemake had another good week as well. 6 for 14, 2 doubles, a triple, a homer, 2 walks to just 1 strikeout, and he hit for the cycle in a game. He had 4 hits in a game. When he had that cycle game, hit 2 hits the next day as well. But Braden Shoemake with back-to-back good weeks here at the plate. Spencer Swellenbach, 5 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 4 strikeouts. Starting to see him go deeper into games now, which is great as they ease him back from coming off Tommy John surgery. You look at the season stats now for Spencer Schwellenbach. 13 games started, 2.63 ERA, a 1.15 whip, 234 average against. That's okay. Would like that to maybe be a little bit better. 41 strikeouts. Would like to see more strikeouts, obviously. 15 walks, but he was also named to be the Braves representative in the Futures game during All-Star weekend, so that'll be fun to see him there. Darius Vines made his 2023 debut pitching in the GCL. 2 innings, 1 hit, no walks, no earned, 2 strikeouts. Good to see him working his way back. Hopefully he's fully healthy. He can become another option in the rotation if needed, possibly later in the year, maybe a bullpen piece as well. Ambioris Tavares, 6 hits this past week, which is great. 22 at-bats, 5 runs, 1 walk, but 10 strikeouts. Another bad week with the strikeouts there, which had gotten a little bit better, and no stolen bases and 1 caught stealing. So good to see the hits coming. Strikeouts are still obviously a major concern there. Dylan Dodd didn't pitch this last week. Not really sure why. Only 5 games in Gwinnett. 1 got rained out, so maybe that's part of it. And guy probably just needs a break at this point. Ignacio Alvarez for Rome, 7 for 18, that led the team in hits this past week. Had a home run, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Luis Guanipa, only 3 games this past week, but was 4 for 10, 2 doubles, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 2 stolen bases. That kid just continues to get it done there. Obviously, playing in the DCL, but again, he's just really off to a great start there. Now going through each level here, Vaughn Grissom, speaking of getting it done, 6 for 16 this past week, 2 doubles, 8 walks, and no strikeouts. Also had 2 stolen bases on the season now for Vaughn Grissom at Gwinnett. 316, 394, 465, 20 doubles, just 2 home runs, but 20 doubles, getting those extra base hits, 26 walks to 33 strikeouts, and 10 stolen bases. We've talked about Vaughn Grissom several times now. If he is trade bait, he is certainly helping the Braves case or the cause rather, because he has played tremendous at AAA all year. Not sure how the defense is going, but the offense certainly is there. Forrest Wall, he's been great all year as well. 6 for 16, a home run, 6 RBI, 4 walks. and no stolen bases, which is crazy. In a week that Forrest Wall had 6 hits and 4 walks, didn't steal a bag. That was a kind of interesting line there. Not typical to see Forrest Wall go a week without stealing a base. Joe Dunnan, he continues to show some power. 2 doubles, a home run in just 4 games played. Pitching was rough this week. And by rough, I mean just awful. Starters gave up 28 earned runs in 5 starts this week. So I talked about Smith Shawver, Jared Schuster, Dylan Dodd didn't pitch this week. Maybe it was a good thing. But all the Gwinnett starters were just bad this past week. Seth Elledge and Nolan Kingham had solid innings out of the bullpen for Gwinnett. At Mississippi, Luke Waddell, 8 for 19, 2 home runs, 11 runs batted in, 5 walks to just 2 strikeouts and 3 stolen bases. He's been great at Mississippi this year. I know he had a brief period there with Gwinnett, which wasn't quite as good, but not enough really of a sample size. But at Mississippi, he's been tremendous all season long. Cade Bunnell's starting to come along as well. 7 for 21, a home run, 3 walks and just 4 strikeouts. I've said this before about Bunnell, but he's a guy I saw come to Birmingham last year and just absolutely obliterate baseballs. He's somebody that can draw some walks. He's had good on base percentages in the past, not so much this season, but he already has 10 homers this year. He has a ton of power. It's always just been the strikeouts for him that really concern you, but he kind of fits that mold as an on-base guy with big power. It's going to strike out a lot, but if he can cut down the swing and misses, have better approaches at the plate, and again, with that power he has, I don't know what his ceiling is or what his outcome could be, but I was just really impressed with what I saw in him at Birmingham last year with that power. Jesse Franklin, speaking of power, he came on this past week, 7 for 19, 4 home runs on the week, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and 2 stolen bases. Landon Stevens, 7 for 15, 3 doubles and 2 home runs, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts, had a great week as well. But again, not a great week on the pitching side for Mississippi. So tough week for pitchers all around in the Braves farm system, except for at Rome, where Cedric D. Grand Prix kind of got back on track. Been a rough go for him here lately, but 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 9 strikeouts for Rome. And Peyton Williams out of the bullpen, 3 innings, 3 hits, no walks, no earned, and 7 strikeouts. And then finally at Augusta, Tyler Collins, 6 for 16 with a double and 2 stolen bases. Justin Giannis, 6 for 22 with a double and a triple. Bryson Worrell, 6 for 19, a home run, 5 walks, and 4 strikeouts. And then on the mound, Jorge Bautista, 6 innings, 3 hits, no walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. So that's your Minors Monday review there. We're now a little over halfway through the minor league season as well. So maybe next Monday, I'll do a halfway point for the minor league season. Probably should have done that today, but didn't think about it before I started recording. So I'll make a note to do that next week. We'll kind of do a halfway point and kind of readjust the Braves rankings and maybe get out some half season awards or halfway awards for the minor league level as well. All right, next we'll turn our attention to the All-Star game where the Braves are going to be highly represented, and I'll set you up before this coming up weekend series or this coming up week series against the Guardians. We'll talk about that here next. Braves set a franchise record as they are sending 8 players to the All-Star game. Sean Murphy, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Orlando Arcia, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr., Bryce Elder, and Spencer Strider. The entire Braves infield is headed out to Seattle for the All-Star game. Well, the one I enjoyed the most is Bryce Elder. Again, we talked about this on the postcast, me and Grant McCauley. If you haven't checked that out, you're not aware of it, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta, where you get the postcast after almost just about every game. But I talked about it there. I love Bryce Elder getting this nod. I mean, what he's done in the first half, I don't know what the future is for Bryce Elder. I've told you here lately, while I think there probably was some regression coming, I don't think he's going to be a 2 ERA pitcher for the rest of the season and definitely not his career. But I've been really impressed what I've seen from him over the last couple of starts or several starts now. I mean, the guy just knows how to pitch. He knows how to get out. His stuff is always moving and he's getting weak contact. He's able to control it within the zone. It's just really great to watch him pitch and get it done in kind of a different way than the other pitcher that's going with him and Spencer Strider. But just really happy for Bryce Elder. I said all that to say, I don't know if he'll get this opportunity again. It's definitely deserving. And I'm just really, happy for him. And it's so great with the first half he's had because the Braves have needed it with all the injuries in the starting rotation, he has stepped up in a big way. Didn't even make the rotation to start the year. Braves went with Jared Schuster and Dylan Dodd over him. And again, I said it at that time, it's not because of anything Bryce Elder did. I think he earned it. Again, if you go at the last or the first podcast of last offseason where I projected the opening day roster, I put Bryce Elder on there because I thought he was the safest bet. And he really made strides at the end of last year. It did come mostly against the Marlins and Nationals, but I just always kind of liked his stuff with all the movement on there. Now, I thought he'd be more of a fourth or fifth starter, but he's pitching more like a 1 or a 2. He's pitching like an all-star, and that's what he is. And I'm just so excited for him, and I hope this run continues for him because it's great. I love what Spencer Strider does, but it's great to see somebody get it done in a little bit different way with deception and movement and control. Really love to see what Bryce Elder has done this year, and he stepped up again, like I said, much needed way with the Braves rotation being banged up. All right, the Braves go to Cleveland. They'll start a series with the Guardians on Monday night. Tell you about the Guardians a little bit. It's mostly pitching, not a lot of offense. 26th in OPS in all of baseball, 22nd in on-base percentage. That's boosted by them being 16th in average in all of baseball. 29th in strikeouts. They don't strike out a lot. They also don't hit a lot of home runs. They're last in the league in all of home runs. The Braves have hit 100 more home runs than the Cleveland Guardians. Over 100 more home runs than the Cleveland Guardians. But they are 6th in ERA. They're 11th in WHIP, so they're a top 10 pitching staff. Just 28th in K per nine. It's a bit surprising to see that. Don't really get it done striking out a lot of batters, more so just by not walking a lot. They're 10th in walk per nine, and they are 10th in average again. So just don't give up a lot of hits, and they don't give up a lot of home runs. Third fewest home runs allowed. So we'll see how that plays out going up against the offense who leads all of baseball in home runs and going up against a pitching staff that doesn't give up a lot of home runs. That'll be really interesting to watch in this series. I feel like the Guardians are kind of similar to the Nationals in a way, at least offensively, in the fact that they can pick up some hits, just not a lot of extra base hits, not a lot of home runs. They don't strike out a lot. So be interesting here to see how this matchup plays. It'll be Bryce Elder against Gavin Williams on Monday night. Gavin Williams, 23rd overall pick in 2021 out of East Carolina. Really great prospect. Guardians do a great job getting these college pitchers and developing them into absolute studs, which that is Gavin Williams. A 2.30 ERA and 0.98 WHIP in 12 minor league starts this year between AA and AAA. 9 of those starts coming at AAA. He has 81 strikeouts and 60 1/3 innings at the minor league level this year. First two starts in the big leagues. First start came against Oakland, 5 2/3, 4 hits, 3 walks, 4 earned runs, gave up a home run and just 4 strikeouts. Second start came against Kansas City, 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 hit batter, no earned runs, and 6 strikeouts. So be a little bit different offense that he'll face this time around after facing Oakland and Kansas City's offenses, but he is a really good pitcher. But this Braves offense right now, when they're on like the way they have been, it doesn't really matter who they're going up against, but it's a big fastball for Gavin Williams, averages 95.6 miles per hour. Really good slider as well. That gets a lot of swings and misses. Will also throw a curve and a changeup. As for Bryce Elder, he's given up the 7th fewest home runs this year among qualified starting pitchers. I already mentioned the Guardians don't hit a lot of home runs, so this feels like it should be a really good matchup for Bryce Elder. Of course, anytime something seems like a great matchup in baseball, that's typically when it goes the other way. But you got a pitcher in Bryce Elder that doesn't give up a lot of home runs, gets a lot of weak contact. If the balls are finding gloves in play, then I think this has the opportunity for Bryce Elder to really go deep into this game and have a lot of success against this Guardians lineup. But we'll see how it plays out on Monday night and see if the Braves can keep their winning streak going. The Braves and the Guardians, again, will play on Monday night at 7:10 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be Bryce Elder versus Gavin Williams. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of each and every day. If you're an everydayer, let me know down in the comments section below. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Make sure you follow me at ShortstopBall. Please, if you would, leave a review, hit a like, all that good stuff on the Locked On Braves podcast. And again, that will do it for this episode, and we will talk to you next time.